नमो भगवते माहेश्वरे स्वाहा एतत् पाद्यं श्रीमीरायै नमः।
I represent the Moscow Aurobindo Center of Integral Yoga. We arrange our meeting today as following. At first, I will tell you about Integral Yoga, and we will have a kind of satsang. In other words, I will ask you various questions to be answered, while usually gurus are posed with questions. You know, some gurus are very cunning, as they inquire people and enforce them to answer their questions by themselves. At the end of our meeting, or even at the middle of it, we'll discuss your questions that may arise due to go up front with you. At the beginning, I offer you to dive into silence for 3-5 minutes, concentrating on the higher self. In the Integral Yoga, this concentration is done on the Sahasrara Chakra, the 1,000-petaled lotus, on your higher spiritual knowledge. In fact, this knowledge is everywhere, not only above. It's actually everywhere. However, thousands of indriyas, subtle channels, go to the top of your head. Consequently, it's easy to feel it above the head or in the heart. As to see objects around us, one has to use eyes that are placed in front, or to conceive different tastes, you need a mouth and a tongue. The same logic goes for perceiving the Brahman by the Sahasrara Chakra, the highest center. Thus, I offer to concentrate above a head for 3-5 minutes, and some of you might feel some pleasant pressure. Don't be afraid of it, but leave all your thoughts and worries behind. During upcoming an hour or an hour and a half, dive into contemplation of your own. And let's do 3-5 minutes of complete absence of thoughts, let alone all your wishes. Throw off all your thoughts. Throw off mind itself that can be in confusion. Feel the infinite sky. It's enough. Thus, I promised to ask you different questions, and those answers, I hope, you will feel in your hearts. It's possible that you will answer these questions today, as I will give you some hints. Maybe you will find answers in the middle of your lives or in 2-3 years, probably at the end of your lives, when you will be faced with the moment of the highest sincerity. When does the moment of the highest sincerity come during a life of a person who is not practicing yoga? Who knows? Before the death. Maybe you will answer part of these questions, and then the next birth will start. You will lose a memory a little. You know, people often forget answers. The questions are traditional indeed. And answers can be different inside you. Answers are so obvious that it's possible that you will become calm or will smile or laugh. The first question that is commonly asked, who are you? And usually argue. So much times this question is asked that it has become repulsive. I usually reply, me is me, and there is no doubt about that. They further continue a suggestive interrogation, but I'm embarrassed how I should reply if the first question doesn't pose queries. The second question, what are you here for? Right here in this hole, in this life. And if you go shopping with a bag, you may have no questions where you going, you say, in a shop. What a reason, to buy some food. What do you need food for? I need to eat. What stupid questions you have asked. What do you eat for? In order to live. Thus, what do you live for? Usually people feel exertion in their brains and they proceed. Look, go away from my side, crack-brained. No, I'm the most normal as I put this question. As I mentioned, you can answer this question today or in several years. It's also possible that it will become obvious for you at the end of your life. And one more question. What was this world created for? All three questions are linked with each other. Thus, you can't say me is me, there is no doubt about that, while I have no idea why this world exists. It means that your understanding of who you are is not complete. When we met at the Hall of Mysteries, I stated that there is no internal and external questions, but a single one. And when you solve it, you will reach mukti, liberation. These questions are answered differently. And as we've gotten together at the Congress of Advaita, by the way, does anybody from the audience know a translation for Advaita? Non-duality. A is a negative prefix plus Dvaita. Strange as it may seem, but there are different streams of Advaita. And there can be many answers. Shakyamuni Buddha has come up with one of the answers. He said that, interpreting his answer in a vulgar way, all of the universe are made of suffering, and the only goal of our existence is getting rid of this suffering. It follows that God is having a nightmare. And the goal is to free totality of his vision from this as fast as possible. I would like to disagree with this point of view, as it appears to imply that while all humans do realize that the universe is such a terrible place created by the divine, God doesn't get it. So we have a paradox. Let's be honest and brave and think for a while. Because every time we enter any kind of system of thought, the manasika karma is created, shared field of knowledge. It can take any form. Some of the people here are able to remember the times of the Soviet Union when it was told you should become komsomolists, communist, everybody agreed. And then there was that vague feeling that it might all be wrong. In Buddhism, there is also a general understanding that the world is built of suffering and the goal is to get rid of it. We'll devote some time to the topic of suffering later today. It then follows that God is lousy creator and he created the universe in a poor fashion. And the people inhabiting the universe are feeling this. There is also a theory of creation of the reality in Buddhism as occurrence of the ripples on the surface of an ocean. In general, Buddhists like to think in a precise way. They have cause-effect relationships. You have done something, so there are karmic consequences. And they believe when the world comes to the state when everyone is Buddha, then these ripples will disappear and there would be no world again. There will be nothing. And then how is the world recreated? On this absolutely smooth surface, new ripples occur, and from the waves colliding, the first three gunas are created. From these three gunas, 5 elements are born. When the 5 elements are mixed with the 3 gunas, all 10,000 items are produced and the consciousness of individual forms appears. What is the main question we should ask about those ripples on the surface of the ocean? If we have this need-cause-effect relationship, what is the prime cause of the ripples? In the Buddhist tradition, it's not usual to ask people what is the cause of the first ripples. They consider God only as impersonality. But my teacher Aurobindo said, you pals are of funny kind, all having your personality. Do you think that God is the only who doesn't have? You are lucky and He only is not? He is just a piece of equipment calculating your karma scores. And when you will understand that you no longer want to be part of this nightmare, then you may just dissolve by decreasing your karmic activity and become nothing. Nullify your personal waves. This doesn't imply that all the Buddhist teaching is erroneous. It's true, but after Buddha Shakyamuni there is a tendency toward decay, and it can be visible in any of the teachings we may look at. Buddha truly achieved the enlightenment and gave this pain relief pill to the world. Since then, all masters take this pill. They just escape into the inner existence and suffer no more. The world stops to be the source of pain and suffering for them. We will tell more about Buddhist enlightenment, how to come to this state. There is also another Advaitic tradition that we discussed yesterday, the concept of aggregate karmic vision. Essentially, it means that the reality is constructed from our visions. As you construct me and whole behind me, and I, looking at you, construct you and the whole behind you. An example of such tradition is what will happen with this whole when everyone leaves it. It will disappear. Because it exists only as long as there are observers. When everyone leaves the whole, it disappears. This is a beautiful idea, and we discussed it on the last Congress to some extent. However, it's wrong. We have also discussed this concept in our Sangha. If only we have subconscious arrangement, how something should look, and nobody except us is aware of it, then there is no objective reality. That means, for example, that buildings under construction would be able to view it only for builders, as others are not aware of the fact of the construction of new building. So only builders and engineer would see this building, and others people would not. Or the world is nevertheless objective, and the builders construct new building, but our karmic vision preconditions our perception of the building. Some people will like this building, others will not. This is the true sense in which the karmic vision should be understood. Unfortunately, in the tradition of the decadent Mayanism, another tradition was adopted. It implies that we ourselves construct the reality by transmitting its image through our eyes. I repeat that this is a very bright theory because it has appeared at the very moment of the breakdown of the Brahmanism, when people have started to forget the purpose of the sacrifices. It was just a way of earning a living for Brahmins. Want to bury a relative, bring a little money. Brahmin will read a mantra so that your relatives will be better off in the other world. But there were young Brahmins among them with a burning heart and a desire to discover the truth. And when they were told that we construct their reality by the power of our consciousness, they simply replied, "This is neat." And a lot of Brahmins accepted this tradition. To sum it all up, the karmic vision exists, but we should understand different interpretations of this concept. And here is one of the conceptions. At last Congress, I have visited a lecture by Jyoti Rupananda, the representative of the Ramakrishna order, and he also tried to justify the God's behavior. Guess what he said? He said that people thought on why God has created this world again with all this evil in it. May the God himself is evil. He said that the Christians have created a separate identity, devil, to put all the blame on him. So it happens that there exist both God and devil. But if there are devil and God, and first is struggling with God, then we got to Advaita, and this is not correct. I worship God that is above anything else. He is both good and evil, and He is that which is above good and evil. Sometimes the God is described in Vedas as Purushottama or Uttama. Tama is darkness. Uttama means above darkness, that is, that which is above duality. This concept cannot be accepted, and appears that Jyoti Rupananda has also rejected it because he is an Advaitist. But he proposed another theory, also very intriguing. It was presented as follows: God has created this world and gave us complete freedom, so now we're in charge for all the bad things going on. So that the God has no fault in here. It's a very bright concept, except that God has no need for our justification of His deeds. If there was His will or its absence, would their world be the same as it's at present? In the Bible it said that the grass leaf won't move without God's will. Thus everything that is happening is a part of the God's will. Probably it's hard to accept all that I'm saying, but we should become greater to accept it. My master Aurobindo Ghosh used to say that all that is happening in the world is lila, and it's a distributed Advaitic vision. But to accept this lila, the game, the divine game, we should truly expand inside. When do people become truly religious? In what periods of the human life? 200, 300, 400 years? When what sort of event happens? Can you tell me, friends? Diseases, wars. Everyone start to pray. You know, God, I have ignored you for an extended while, but now I would like to phone you and ask a favor or two for me and my bodies. That is when power shifts happen, very huge shifts, when our perception of the world shatters and we understand that we cannot live our ordinary lives anymore. This is God touching us a little harder, touching the world that He has created. As the folk wisdom goes, nothing is able to justify a war. There was a great teacher, Nietzsche. He said that the war can't justify anything. He turned everything upside down. It's while at war man turns sincere. It might be either a war within, jihad, or an external war. It's better to have a war within yourself. Wise men are struggling within while the world is in peace. But for the dumb ones, God has prepared bigger war, or external war, if they are not ready to face themselves within. And all their reality is the game. There is an attractive allegory when Shiva and Parvati meet, and Parvati offers to play a game of hide and seek. She offers, I will wrap you up into my magic forest, and you lose your way and never find yourself again. And the god, as he is a great god, Bhagavan, readily replies, let's try that out. At this moment, the universe unfolds, and in this universe, no one knows his true identity. The divine in everyone's heart should remember himself, discover himself. While Parvati, God's wife, says, you won't find it. Better go fetch some groceries. He replies, wait a bit, I need to gather my thoughts. Hey, better go watch a movie and look around. There are my incarnations walking around. They have nice faces, long hair, and even smell good. Or on the contrary, their muscles are bulging and their faces are so manly. You shouldn't do anything beside that. You should become some successful businessman. He replies only, I want to remember something, remember something. She asks, what for? This is the game, this is what happens in the spiritual world, and here we are, their emanations and embodiments. I think that everyone here likes to play. While being kids, boys played with guns, girls opted for dolls. The boys that play with dolls or girls that play with guns are messed up for sure, and it's a hard case. But then again, play, and there it goes, the computer era arrived. We always updating these games, and each time repeat like a mantra, more realistic. I want the computer picture to be closer to reality. Above all, we can win the level, and what is there? Sure, the level increases. What happens here is our game. It's called life, and here we have a decent level of complexity. How can we quit this game? There are two popular options. One was taught up by Buddha, though these exit strategies have always existed. They were written down in holy texts. He said, if you don't enjoy the game, you are free to hit the cancel button, but you should be completely adamant in your decision. If you still enjoy good food or the opposite sex, you should consider staying here for a while. But if this is not the case, you should simply say, no, stop, consider me quits. That's that. When you play modern games, there are a number of alerts trying to stop you from quitting. Are you sure to leave the game? It always annoyed me. Yes, I am. And there are such alerts here, that is, you watch something, desire to taste something, you say, no, you want to play the game further. And Buddha discovered a way, this pill for you to quit and become detached. It's very simple to become enlightened, though Buddha had to spend 8 years on it, and that is considered to be average. You should simply let yourself go. Masters in this hall have repeated this simple truth for many times. Many people were invited to this scene. All have laughed when the master put another person to an awkward situation at the satsang. This is because when a person poses a question, then he has some tension inside. But the goal is to let everything go. But when the person is willing to understand how to let go and pushes hard, he still can't let go. Master is a person who has let everything go. At first, he let go the external objects. He understood that earning a lot while being unhappy is not the solution. Those who care about someone should understand that they are not able to make someone truly happy while being unhappy themselves. After letting go the external problems, you know what he did? He let go internal search for his true identity. Because while there is the quest for meaning, what is present? The tension is present. Simply be yourself. When the masters were asked what do they practice, they answered, when I'm hungry, I will eat. When I want to sleep, I will sleep. Though there is a number of criteria. When you become your true self, you are able to see how all the forms are constructed from the formlessness. When you are busy with one of the forms, you will never be able to see that which has no form. In exactly the same way, it's possible to hear all the sounds coming from the silence. But if you are interested in a certain sound, then you have no time to watch the silence. When you have let everything go, the universe starts to flicker. You are able to see how the 3D image of the world is built, and when you have let all the sounds go, you are able to hear how all the sounds come from this silence. It's truly beautiful. It brings joy to those who are able to feel it. So the first level of the game is to become enlightened, to get liberation. And then you are able to choose the way of dissolution oneself if the game doesn't suit you well enough. Or if you do like it, you are able to follow the way of Lila, the way of the game, the world where you are completely free and are able to enjoy yourself. However, the level of joys may change a lot. I have already told you in the Hall of Mystery that some of yogis can't perceive this world. Even the enlightened ones used to say, I have enlightened and now I quit. Here they were assisted to some extent by Mother Kali. She used to say, leave. Go away from my world. You are not able to accept the God in its whole as He truly is. He is both immovable and movable. The Lord is bisexual. He and me are the one, Shakti and Shiva. If you are able to perceive only one half of the God, the immovable part, yes, you are the released one. You've managed to find yourself in that forest, but you failed to find me. This is the way in which Shakti teases Shiva. And hordes of people left the plain vanilla darshan, which was offered by Buddha Shakyamuni. But there exists higher darshan. And in India, it's a hardly seen tradition. When the very high-level guru comes and the elders, even the enlightened ones, gather to listen to this darshan, this knowledge about liberation has carried through centuries. It has waited for the moment for the earth to enter the new cycle and come closer to Satya Yuga, era of knowledge, when the second half aspect of Shakti or energy was manifested. The knowledge that you shouldn't quit, that the God is whole, that the whole world is spiritual. According to the Advaita tradition, there is nothing in the world that is not the spirit. During one of the previous lectures, I have already told that the Vaishnavas tell parables, the true meaning of which is clear to only a handful of Vaishnavas. As a rule, these are highly qualified Vaishnava teachers. They say the following: Krishna, wherever he is always at his spiritual planet. Which loka or planet he is at the moment, he is always at his spiritual abode, because there is no world for him which is not spiritual. All the surrounding universe is his spiritual abode, while we think that he is here and also somewhere there. He is there as well, but also he doesn't leave his loka being in our world. His abode is borderless. It's frequently said here about Aryans and about Aryan tradition. And in these bodies, in this world, there are tales, as in our own tales, which go on as follows. Look, the tree is alive, and the Mother Earth is alive. Here everything is alive. And I wish that all of you not only listen to this story, but also try to feel it. And the more you cherish this vision inside of yourself, in your senses, the more you acquire Sarupa Mukti, the liberated body of the God, that is the vision and feeling of bliss in any space. So what are the stages and what is the method of this way? The first stage is enlightenment. The second is siddhanta, acquiring the super abilities that are the attributes of the God. If we have experienced ourselves as God in our heart, then we can go even further and say, would you teach me, Mother? That is, we address Adi Shakti, the primordial Shakti. There are traditions that say that there are different rases or tastes of relationships with God, and at first Mother treats us like children. She drives out from her world dolts, but some she considers as husbands if they are strong enough. As a rule, we start as kids, daughters, and sons. We can call Mother. You know that God can be either man or a woman or both, so there shouldn't be any discrimination. In Tantra, frequently the God is treated as a feminine aspect, as that which creates worlds. We can also appeal to the dynamic aspect and ask Mother to teach ourselves the dynamic of this world as we would like to experience this energy. And thus we will start our studies. It's the beginning of the way of Siddhanta, the way of the perfect ones. We should learn how to deal with this energy, how to empty our mind, and this is just the beginning. Of course, it's 1,000 times easier for the enlightened as they see the world as energy. They simply learn how to hook this energy with their mind. To hook energy with the mind is not easy, but it's an exciting journey. This is the best path. We will talk a little about techniques of mantra and pranayama. This is the beginning of the road of Siddhi, and I would like to define it a bit. There are talked a lot about the rainbow body. According to our tradition, we understand the rainbow body differently for a while. Let's mention Ramalinga. Who knows what was his symbol? He reached not so many time ago, in 1800, reached the rainbow body. What was his symbol that he always showed? Here are a lot of competent sadhus with wide knowledge. It was a lamp, a regular oil lamp, the light and glass that protected the light from the wind. It's a symbol of an individual rainbow body. The glass is defending from the external world and represents a crucial sign. If this karma would be shared among everybody, the light will die out by the wind or the rain or other external factors. Why did I like the Darshan of Aurobindo, who is my guru? He said that if the mind is integrated, the spirit is united, then the body is only single. In other words, there is no separated rainbow body. To be honest, I have meditated for a long time as I have internal indignation. I tried to clarify what was the core of this indignation. The more I heard about rainbow body, the more suspicious I was getting. And you know what? Later, I finally managed to formulate this feeling in words. Understand and feel light indignation inside yourself is the one thing, but manage to formulate it's another thing. What do people leave after themselves once they reach the rainbow body? Who knows? Hair and nails. And is that all? Is this the complete result? Please consider it thoroughly, sadhus. They live here and nails for us. Is this a result of the rainbow body? Is this all how they can help us in the new supreme state? Yes, anything else? They left their teachings. Do they leave the teaching? I have to say that they did long and boring lectures until attained the rainbow body. Better or worse than mine, it's another tricky question. But then they say, okay, that's all about it, and leave nails and here at the very nonce when getting the highest power. Aurobindo said when he had been told the following about the rainbow body, but no one stayed here. Why didn't anybody stay here? Jesus showed the only example of quite great Darshan of the light body. During 2000 years, the world is keeping him in mind and at the same time gradually developing. At first, bondage was called off as people in Christian countries got that one shouldn't have to enslave others. Then they tumbled to that females are equal to males. We are different, but we are equal. The science and the culture are developing. Far and by, there are a lot of nails and locks are left here in the world. Let's make an agreement that once one of us achieves the rainbow body, this one will help others, though a little. It will make greatly easier suffering of other people. People won't have to trust in the spirit, but they will be able to contemplate it. The spirit will be visible to our eyes. And don't be afraid of these ideas, of these brave thoughts. How can we tell something about siddhis? I have nothing against siddhis. But what is the significance if no one can observe them and they don't show themselves explicitly? It looks like they don't exist. One day the spirit has to take its deserved state. It's similar to the hall, as sometimes there is a central chair or a central yoga mat, so in the world the spirit should become apparent, and it won't be differ by color or form of the chair. It will be distinguished with internal deep quality. It will be conspicuous for all as the physical body will change. Well, we are close to approach the method. What is the method? Can we achieve the final goal by pranayama or mantra practices? I hope that many of you, or though few, attended the Darshan breathing with the three worlds that was organized by our Sangha, or Hatha Yoga classes integrating of asanas and energy. On Sunday tomorrow there will be initiation to Gayatri Mantra, mantra of Brahmin's rank, which only priests are initiated to. Please come and take this knowledge. However, all these methods alone can't lead you to realization of Leela or the game to the rainbow body. The main reason is that all these practices are done by the ego. Ego is that who repeats mantras, that breathes in pranayama. Something is breathed into something and something is breathed out of something. there is yet detachment, Advaita. All these methods can be only as firing of the initial flame. It's just a help. However, they are extremely important as basic kriyas or elementary practices. But the key method is appealing to your highest essence, to the internal self. How is it called in Christianity? Who knows? Holy Spirit, or the God, or gaining of Holy Spirit. That is, conditionally speaking, you turn towards yourself, to your highest self. During repeating mantras, practicing pranayama, listening to boring or funny lectures, one day you guess that there is no time and space, and that you are the God with all His power. And this body is a particular localization. You turn up and ask yourself to help you. I don't think that you in your future turn down a request from you in your past. That you may say, sorry, but who are you? I don't know you and I won't help you just due to my badness. You help your children, you help your friends, and first of all, you can help yourself. It's appeal to your higher source, to your true self. There is no past, present, or future there. There is eternal that. Thus, this is an appeal to upwards. I have explained why we speak about the top of the head, as it's easier for us to concentrate upwards. Similar to Tantra, there is described that Adya Shakti, the primordial power that creates these worlds, is situated under the head. We discussed how this world is constructed and that we don't create it in our own right. The primordial Shakti creates it as a projector that projects everything. This is not the total contrary to the karmic vision teaching. When you experience yourself as Adya Shakti, as the primordial power, you see that you can construct the worlds. This is also. However, if a lot of people leave this audience hall, Adya Shakti won't stop projecting it. The hall is objective. The Shakti projects everybody who is leaving this hall thinking about if it will disappear or not. As for male aspect, due to Vedic tradition, a projector that projects the world and holds 3D picture of the world is called Virat. And if you are experiencing Virat, this is one of the enlightenment stage of that who projects worlds. So you ask the initial Shakti to unite with you and manifest in you. This is both a prayer and a meditation. As a prayer is an appealing to the God, but words can hinder you. You have to join your higher source not only by means of consciousness, but also energy. Thus, our approach combines Jnana Yantra, the field of knowledge, and Shakti Yantra, the field of power. Two fields are similar to a couple of wings. A bird can't fly with one wing. There are several stages on this path. Your mind should be changed. You should experience the knowledge. Your energy has to be modified. You should go through bliss and universal realization. And your physical body should change. This is also described in Vedas texts as Sri Krishna Siddhi, Bhagavan Sri Krishna. Probably many of you know this story that is described in Mahabharata. Kurukshetra's field, the field of a great sacrifice, and Bhagavan Shri Krishna was there. The liberated ones who had spiritual vision perceived him as a complete manifestation of the God. He had self-realized mind, entirely divine energy, and completely divine body. As far as at mind level, nobody could hit him, as all minds were his mind. Nobody could even think how they could hit him. Nobody could even wish this, as all energies and all wishes belonged to him. He felt himself to be present in all bodies, and nobody could physically inflict harm on him, as all bodies were his bodies. He was just localized in a single one. He was seen in one body. In reality, he was everybody on the Kurukshetra field. Such kind of siddha, ability to see this, was perceptible only by the liberated ones. Sometimes arrows touched him. It's described that sometimes arrows touched him. He perceived this as a touch of his beloved, as the arrows were he himself. The air that these arrows passed through was he himself. He himself touched himself. Nothing could hit him. It was such a power of that realized body. It said that he for several times also showed his light body, the universal form. In Mahabharata it's described twice. When heated discussions appeared, he became shining and all the discussions stopped. Everybody told, "Oh, Bhagavan Shri Krishna, that's it. Peace to you, we understood." Whether it was like this or not, it doesn't matter. We got that it could be. Some years ago, people wished to fly. And constructed very absurd mechanisms to make off the ground by a device that was heavier than the air. However, when the first such apparatuses were constructed, they became airborne, and now a lot of machines are flying and it looks normal today. However, I would like to remind that in order to those first flights became real, a couple of dozens of crazy people who believed that it's possible had to exist prior to it. Sri Aurobindo said, "I wish there were a few truly devoted practitioners, though 100, to warm energy in the air, so that to perform a great collective transformation into the light bodies. Once it happens, it won't be similar to nails and locks. It will look like a match in a dry haymow. It will be like a great fire that no one can escape from." In the Gospel, Jesus tells that when I will come at the second time, I will be as the lightning that lighteneth out of the one part under heaven, shineth unto the other part under heaven. I hope there is no doubt that Jesus was a liberated creature, and I speak certainly not about a young guy from Nazareth. When he said "I," he meant that united God that becomes manifests in all liberated persons when I come at the second time. It will be complete transformation of the world. That is why he warned not to find him here or there and not to trust others that he is somewhere they know. This will be real transformation of the world. Our lecture, Satsang, is coming to its end. I expect you to desire more, that it won't be just, "Oh, this lecture has finished, let's go to another," and there will be told a lot of new things, and there are some pretty bits for sale. Not this, but who am I? What do I want? Sometimes it's said in this way, "Say what you want and I'll say who you are." Establish this intention to realize yourself. The bravest of you I invite to join our Sangha, the Moscow Sri Aurobindo Center of Integral Yoga. Practice with us. You can also engage in other spiritual directions. Come to practice. I said previously that our classes are free of charge. Relatives are not asked to pay. But as we are renting halls, we encourage doing voluntary gifts to the center. But we don't sell entrance tickets. It's my invitation to all of you, and now I will frighten you a little. We are practicing during 7 hours every Sunday, 6-7 hours of practicing, mantra yoga, pranayama, meditations, reading of holy texts, practicing on awareness. We task homework for a week. It's practices of nidhyathyasana, mind control, control of consciousness. So lazy bones don't fit our sangha. Thus, if you want to come, you're welcome. But please think thoughtfully at first whether you need this or you're inclined to shopping and bits. So I want to mention that I respect other practices and paths. If you're truly a follower and you have a well-deserved guru, please continue practicing and respect your gurus. Thank you for your patience. If you have any questions, I'm ready to answer them. I would like to add that from the 20th of September, an initial course on yogic sadhana starts in our center. If anybody wants, please join. It's better for you to begin learning from the very beginning to understand the core of the system and method. There are our business cards near the exit. Besides, there are big murti of Aurobindo and the mother, Mira Alfasa, a Aurobindo's follower, and a lot of books, cards, and also handouts about our lectures that start from the 20th of September. Let me try to bravely answer your questions now. If I described something vaguely and somebody got entangled and has some tension in mind, please ask your questions. The first enlightened have left the hall. Can you tell about mantrika? First of all, Mantra Yoga Darshan is likely scheduled for Sunday at 7 in the hall of Hatha Yoga. You can ask about details there. If you want guidelines for practicing of mantras, the key is to pronounce it consciously. It's crucial because, for example, in China and Japan there is the following joke. Unconscious repetition of mantra is like bowling nimbutsu in a horse ear. Nimbutsu is a mantra devoted to Amitabha Buddha, Buddha of infinite light. It's pronounced like Amitabha, Amitabha, Amitabha. The concentration is on the infinite light and on the body made of light. It's said that a horse doesn't understand what this word means. Consequently, it's useless to bowl to it the word Amitabha. You should integrate your mind and feelings inside your body. Only this way mantra is repeated without aparathas, abuses. Usually I make the following example. Let's imagine the following. There is a very good Orthodox prayer, Jesus prayer. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me. It's a practice of burning karma seeds. And imagine that it was told to Chinese but without translation. He is sincerely loving God and reading this prayer with singing accent, Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me. And he is reading joyfully as he loves God. The mantra will affect him anyway, but marginally only. However, without translation, he won't perceive its essence, right shiksha, the mood. He won't understand in what mood he should repeat this mantra, this prayer. We don't clearly understand what any mantra is about. In India, Brahmins know Sanskrit, it's their native language. Thus, when, for example, they are initiated into Gayatri Mantra, they understand each word pronounced. When we are initiated to mantra, we say, we are going to perceive the general mood, not each word, as it makes us thinking about this a lot. It's difficult, but nobody said that the path is easy. However, if you recognize each word, then each word becomes a point of concentration. As an example, in Gayatri you can realize up to 20 points of concentration. If you suppose that God is the light or something else in general, when you are told about features of God and you think that it's miserable and God exists, and it's that simple. Do you know in what spiritual world you will get, where all is vague and fuzzy? There are definite karmic outcomes, as you have never desired to know exactly how I look like, but only roughly. And you turn out in the world where the image is blurred and say, oh, what is it? And for a long period of time, spiritual vision will be closed. But if you want to know precisely, let's say you are industriously practicing, you recognize the mantra's meaning, you try to read it without apparathas, then your vision is quite rapidly expanding and allows you to see objects clearly in the spiritual world either. Hence, such kind of guidance of mantrika might be given. Besides, your practicing of mantras may change over several years. That is to say, if you have been initiated into, for example, Gayatri, then there is told about Diksha, sounds and meaning, and its Shiksha, mood of this mantra, that outlines a scope of concentration during each word. And you are surrounded by the one side with the light angels and by the other with dark angels. Dark ones are tempting, come on, leave off doing it, it's very difficult, just repeat it. And then throw your rosary and you don't have to repeat mantras at all. Light angels persuade, repeat mantra industriously, hold all concentrations that were given. If you start industriously repeating mantra, you concentrate on all points of this practice, then the worlds are revealing around you. You are getting to feel the transformation of your body, your subtle body. After some time, you can have guardians of the worlds. These are beings of light who will accompany and support you during your meditation. And they will help you with meditation, and it's possible to see them. In some time, you won't be alone. Besides, Jagrat Guru, the Guru of this world, will give you additional instructions on concentration. And in 1-2 years, you can achieve another level of repeating mantra, a new depth of this practice. Or you can repeat this mantra in Tamaguna, the guna of ignorance. Just repeat without understanding, thinking about something else, and appreciate it by saying, oh, that's good. Some persons who come to our classes, however, during the very our classes such situation doesn't happen, and we slightly laugh at such kind of persons who say that, you know, repeating mantra is very good before going to bed. I fall asleep well, calm down and sleep. I read it as soporific. When mantra is repeated, the fire should be around, the light should surround us, high vibrations should be present. There are 2 levels of mantra repetition, when mantra honors you and when you honor mantra. The first level is when mantra leads you to your true heart. While you repeat mantra, you meditate on your true self. You're getting deeper into your heart. Once you reached your true heart, the light comes from the heart. And when you are repeating mantra, its vibrations start affecting the space around, your body, the whole world. When, as an example, one of the greatest adages, Mahavyakya, is pronounced, Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha. Om is God in each being. And with this Om, we can attain any point of manifested world. Later, one of Darshans, it's already a very high realization, is that you can, pronouncing Om, integrate with the mind of any being. It's like to reach it and perceive it in the world. When you pronounce Bhur, you can meditate on and feel the whole physical world. While you are pronouncing Bhuva, you can fall to your dream body, the world of energy, and get rid of all fears. When Swaha is pronounced, the world of deities, and if you are persistent in your concentration, then it will open to you in some time. Hence, just the first line of Gayatri Mantra is as shown. And these are my short precepts. On Sunday you can get more detailed instructions from a senior sadhu of our Sangha. You can also come to our table and ask for more details, in what audience it will be placed. It's most probable that This will take place in the hall for Hatha Yoga. Other classes in St. Petersburg. There is also Sri Aurobindo Sangha. The only thing is that the classes are held irregularly. Here in Moscow, we perform practices each Sunday from September till May. In summer, we sometimes participate in congresses, and we have ARM, All Russian Meeting, which gathers practitioners across different places and lets them share practices. This time it will be held in Odessa. You can get all the information needed at the desk in front of the hall. Please tell the address of the St. Petersburg school. You can also get the address here or take our business cards. Let me repeat that we invite the bravest ones to try themselves in practicing on the 20th of September. Any more questions? And Matrimandir in the Auroville, what is the purpose of it? Oh yes, well, I want to say that I didn't want to praise my teacher so much, but I will praise my spiritual teacher. It should be stated that Sri Aurobindo in India is said to be an avatar. This is just to make it clear. And not only 30 people consider him to be an avatar, but there were issued also coins which depict him. If one gives a lecture and then people make coins with his image, then this means this is respect. His follower, the mother, she was visited by Indira Gandhi. The ashram was founded in Pondicherry, and it could be said it's currently a city landmark. Nearby there was founded the town of Auroville, and there is a fascinating building, Matrimandir, the house of meditation. It has a large cupola which symbolizes Hiranyagarbha, Vedic Hiranyagarbha, the golden ball which contains all the world. It's a very beautiful place, and people who are not very experienced in meditation, they just enter the building and say that the peace goes down on them. Such silence and peace is present there. A couple of sadhus from our group have gone there, and I, being very skeptic, human, strict and malignant guru, says usually, check everything. In general, I follow the advice of my guru. When people came to him and asked, Guruji, Guruji, it seems to me that I have acquired siddhi of invulnerability. What should I do? How should I check this? His response was, ask your friends to kick your butt, then you will know whether you have really acquired such a skill or not. It's quite simple, otherwise you will be going around boasting that you are a man of steel. So this is the test. Some said, I have acquired Mahima, I can get bigger in sizes, I can lift large objects, I have acquired the siddhi of elephant. He responded, hey, there is a tree which is at least 200 years old. Pull it out, please. If you can, that is okay. Otherwise, go on meditating. There are lots of different people here. Some of them assert they are completely transcendental or something else. Everything is very, very simple. And I know lots of different people that are now transcendental and then they are inclined to suicide. That is, if a person has pain, then, as Sri Krishna says, he is not guru. That is, if you are completely happy, only then it's some realization, at least subtle one. Matrimandir is made to be a meditation center. But there are people who stick very much to the external objects. What I want to say is that the group from our Sangha went there as complete skeptics and returned religious fanatics at their best. They have retold these stories with ardor. The only advice I have provided them before they left was to try to free from India. That is, if India outweighs you, then you are still not the attained one. India is happy when the enlightened ones enter its land, but not the enlightened are happy to enter India. That is, his body is happy, of course, while the inside doesn't change an inch. When enlightened is near the pyramids are happy. But not enlightened is happy that he is at last near the pyramids. Because inside the enlightened, nothing changes. You know that when the enlightened dies, then nothing changes as well. This is very important. Matri is a great meditation hall. And I advise all of you, if you will be in India, to visit Aurobindo ashram. Moreover, there have been issued coins with his image. One of the main streets of Delhi is named after Aurobindo. The mother's school is known by everyone. The elite of the Indian society is raised in the mother's school, and it's assumed that the standards of education are very high there. Also, his statue is stand at the front of the Indian Parliament. He is acknowledged by everyone as a great spiritual teacher. And let me tell you about attachments a bit more. One of the sadhu, whom I respect greatly, he is a keeper of the Aurobindo relics from India. He says, here you can take a bow and there you may do prostration. Also come and meditate on the relics. Well, this all can be done, but where is our most important relic located, beloved ones? Yes, every one of you has a piece of God in your heart. And if you did not lose yourself on your way to the shop, then the shop would be happy that such a creature has visited it. Don't forget that everything is alive here. And that's all that I would like to say about Matri. Maybe another question? Yes, please, and speak up. In what way the works of Aurobindo are new or revolutionary? Because the traditions of Tibetan monks and Buddhists, there was present the realization of rainbow body. First of all, I have already told that after the realization of the rainbow body, with respect to all 84 Tamil siddhas, what is the result? It's just hair and nails. It's said when the Krishna has become the king of Dwaraka in his kingdom, which was considered to be the strongest in India, and his presence has prevented his subjects from dying. If someone wanted to die, he only died at his own will and wish. So there was no death. Such was the strength of the field of power around him, Kshetra. In this respect, that they assumed the light body as only individual body, only localized one, though they were the great sadhus, great yogis. That is, I have obtained light body and that's it. But this is contrary to Advaita. There is no individual body. We are one body, one mind, one consciousness. That is why my Guru said that the heaven for a select is imperfect heaven. When I have read Christian books, I have always wondered that If I somehow manage to be a good person with no bad habits and get into heaven, just hypothetically, and all the bad people by whom I was offended, but whom I have forgiven, they will get into hell. And how I will be able to enjoy their life while they will be suffering there? I'm not sure, but this alternative is not completely attractive to me. Maybe you think they should be suffering, but people of this type have no place in heaven. There are only those in heaven who has forgiven everyone. So, what is the purpose of the localized light body when the world has not changed? First, we don't know whether it has or has not changed. And you think that it has changed after 18 Tibetan Sikhs? No. I, for one, think that it hasn't changed, and you think that it has. We don't know. What do you mean by we don't know? I have seen one guru who talked on cosmology. You know, he talked in a smart way and, according to the Vedic texts, tried to say something. And he said that the moon, in accordance with the Vedic text, is covered with snow. That people don't know, but it's covered with snow, and therefore people are walking on it. And scientists are all lying, all talking nonsense. He doubted everything, only this he believed in blindly. And I asked him, you have arrived here flying in lotus pose, haven't you? If you're able to materialize a rose now, then I will believe in moon covered with snow. Otherwise, use the nearest plane and go home. Actually, Krishna says about the scientists as Sankhya. The way of Sankhya is a way of logical discovery. He says they're also looking for me, but in their own way. They are also looking for the truth. That is why 400 years ago I have lectured that the world consists of energy and everyone should have believed in that. Now the scientists have proved this fact that there are electrons and we can see them and they vibrate. There is Brownian motion and it vibrates in some way and is waiting for some new godly vibration. And now as regarding to the revolutionary character of the way. Thank you very much. This is a good question indeed. I won't assert that this way of teaching the Aurobindo yoga is something revolutionary. Yes, it's revolutionary in some sense, but I'd better say it's the primary yoga. It's the oldest teaching ever described. In Kali Yuga, the knowledge is lost partially. We forget, not only in Kali Yuga, we often forget whether we have turned the light off when we leave the room. The spiritual knowledge, when we hurry to get to the shop, are forgotten much more easily sometimes. And this separation into Raja Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, they appeared at the period of decay. And Aurobindo has one of his main works, the synthesis of yoga, that is the integration of all the yogas. Who first has suggested the synthesis of yogas? Two persons who have synthesized yoga in antiquity, which are considered as the great ones. Who? Krishna. Krishna, he told the Trimarga, the triple way. He integrated jnana, bhakti and karma yogas. He started to integrate them again. At the time, each guru said, I'm a karma yoga guru, you are bhakti and you are not allowed even to come to me. Others said, we're jnani, we will be speechless and will not say a word to you. And everyone was proud of himself. And Krishna said that Sankhya, Bhakti, Karma, Jnana, all are true yogas. And those knowing Sankhya know the Ashtanga yoga too, eight-limbed yoga. Eight-limbed yoga, Patanjali yoga. He integrated methods of asana, pranayama and Dhyana. That is saying all are true ones. And look what is there now. They all have separated once again. If you come to the Ashtanga Yoga, it's very difficult to be there. I don't know, maybe it's in my presence. The Guru lectured by leaps and bounds. Probably there are good gurus who don't leap from asana to another asana. We just need to understand what is happening. I have told our teacher of Hatha Yoga how it has happened. It's in India the yoga was taught when English have occupied it. And English people used to do morning exercises. And the way they did the exercises was by jumping. So some teachers just integrated these jumps and the very ancient and very smooth Hatha Yoga exercises. And lots of people get injured while jumping on Ashtanga Yoga classes. And it's named Ashtanga, 8 limbs. However, usually you will be held up at the stage of asana in Hatha Yoga practice till the end of your life, until you recall the question, what am I here for? You won't even be told about the next stage, Dhyana. I don't completely agree with it. The path of Anuttara Tantra was represented here as well. Its approach is more close to me as Aurobindo's teaching also belongs to Tantra, to the highest directions of Tantra. He said that his yoga is closer to Tantra. According to this approach, it set the highest conception as the first point. The only problem of that approach is the following. If you are taught Hatha Yoga during 6 years and then Pranayama and Mantrika, there will be left 10, if not 5, of the people from this hall. And these ones with the trained minds, with the meditation on a single point, they will be ready to grasp meditation on Adya Shakti, the primordial Shakti. They are still and calm and ready to work and will do their best. And all those who wanted to go shopping, they've already gone there. Then only those 5 will receive the darshan. However, it's also pity those who have left for shopping, because they might have had some questions but not enough patience. Human beings are weak, they say. This is rather long lecture. I have already forgot how it had started. That is why it's told the highest knowledge at the start, so not to torture the people. But here comes the second problem. When the highest knowledge is told at first, then not all the listeners realize what they are given, and they don't value what they are given. How to solve this dilemma? Some of you might solve this question for yourself. When the highest darshan is given at first, some don't appreciate this, while when low-level knowledge is given at first, then not all have the patience to get to that highest darshan, even if they have a trained mind. So please try to find a balance in your mind between these two ways, and to appreciate this higher darshan, and keep patience in order to train your mind, understanding that you have skipped the stages of Hatha Yoga, Asana, Pranayama and Mantra. You should cultivate this concentration within yourself to taste, for instance, the highest levels of meditation on I am that, or better, I am I. I am that is something far off, while I am I is internal recognition. So there is something revolutionary, and in addition to that, it should be well understood that when you are in a university, I hope that everyone here has at least university education, and you consider the history from the historical, theoretical and applied points of view. From the historical point of view, how has everything started? If you recall, Tibetan yoga has been totally suppressed by the Chinese. Where were the protectors of the Tibet? They were totally destroyed. Where were the Mahasiddhas when India was humbled for 2 times? And they, Indians, are confused from time to time. There is the only God, this means Advaita, but the Mother is manifested as multitude of the gods. And when they forget about the only God and those who live by the river, they start to worship the god of the river. Those who live by the mountain, they start to worship the gods of mountains. And some worships Kubera, the god of wealth. Each one begins to worship one's own god. Then the Muslims came, they had almost Advaita, that is, they worshipped the only God and everything was clear to them. So they conquered India saying, Allah Akbar. And this is true, the Allah is great. Then the English came who have worshipped Mother or Shakti. They actually didn't know about it. They said that external energy is very important, and worshipping Shakti in this way, they have understood how to make the weapons and trains and something else. Because Islam worshipped only male aspect, the aspect of consciousness, the mother again humbled India. It was seized by the British and French. They said, "Who are yogis here? Who are Allah Akbar?" They placed automatic weapons and the number of protesters declined sharply. You may say, actually, what does he say? This is terrible. But guys, it was exactly that way. It was so. Each time when you miss any part of the only God, you will be humbled. If during one life you don't achieve the realization of Atman, at least the static aspect, life by life you will lose your mind, and there will be suffering and death. If during one life, being enlightened, you won't achieve the body of light, Kali Mother will eat your physical body. Death is an alarm clock which God set himself. This alarm should ring zzz and disturb us. There is something I must do, something special, because there is this limit, the death. Could you please tell how the body of light can be localized? I don't know how the body of light can be localized. To my mind, the body of light can't be localized, certainly if we speak about the true body of light. But there are 5 elements, and one of them is Akasha. Akasha is the space. The Patanjali Yoga Sutra states that yogis practicing Akasha Drishti, vision of contemplation of Akasha, can become invisible. There are 2 stages in this process. During the first stage of contemplation of Akasha, you become invisible for seers, that is, you are invisible for other yogi who are trying to see you by means of the mind. This barrier in Akasha can be fairly easily received. Akasha is a very subtle environment. Behind Akasha, there is situated only Brahman, who is the subtlest among the subtlest. Such a barrier in Akasha is like refraction in a glass with water. If you place a straw in a glass of water, it seems that it enters the water here and does out a little sideways. This is similar to what happens in Akasha. It seems to be refracted. And when a yogi sees that another yogi is looking at him, he can refract Akasha and become invisible to the other yogi. Next level, more solid refraction in Akasha, belongs to physical level, capability to become invisible on physical level. In common meaning, it's taken off evil eye. So, in Akasha, the person can make such separation. That is what I was talking about Ramalinga, who had got a regular kerosene lamp with glass that protected the fire as his symbol. That protection from glass gives an effect of division. The yogi separates himself from the world and achieves realization in his ego, of course game ego, as there is no spiritual ego. In it, he achieves realization of the light body. I believe that it's not appropriate even talks about the light body, because only who are lighting up here can tell you about the light body as an expert, not an amateur. Do you understand the matter? Although, without a doubt, I know enough of yogis who are very close to this realization. Do you know what's it like? I said the same in our Sangha. It looks like physics constructed an atomic bomb, and in different laboratories, they approximately understand at what stage the development is. Let's assume that it's not constructed yet, but physics approximately understand at what stage the development is. And during talks on this subject of light body, it's clear whether this person is close to the realization or is going along this way, or he is only philosophizing on this subject. However, in fact, I say again that I would be glad to look at someone who achieved the light body and who won't cowardly run away from here. Please be manifested. I'll be happy to prostrate in front of him. You said that siddhas who left the hair and so on didn't realize the light body. Is this correct? I think that the light body was realized several times on the earth. It was localized as there wasn't chain reaction. The sacred text described the light body that when Maitreya, the last of the avatars, comes, it will be a transition to the spiritual world. He will set fire to this world. The Gospel says literally, you all will pass as through the fire. And during mantraka, you should feel how this vibration goes. How this vibration goes and the body heats up. That is, if you want to sleep after mantraka, certainly it can be an effect of energy assimilation. The body is very tired and it really wants to sleep. However, it's not efficient if during mantraka it calms you, soothes you. Instead, if you are very good in practicing, then you naturally feel that the body is tired. The body seems to be warmed up, as if in the microwave, and it wants to rest, then it's beneficial. Did the mother work in this direction or in slightly different? The mother worked in this direction. She worked right up with the body. I have already talked about Krishna, mind, body and energy. The most of enlightened, those you can see, they achieved realization at the mind level, that is, they liberated the mind. And guess what? They are not worrying whether they will realize the light body or not. Teruel doesn't care, Sumiran doesn't care, and frankly, do you know who didn't care? Aurobindo didn't care. When I read this book, The Adventure of Consciousness, it's a leading book on this path. I tried my best, supramental transformation, something else. Later I found in letters, conversations with Aurobindo, ascribed by his disciples, that there was a disciple very excited with the idea of supramental transformation of the whole world. Aurobindo said, "Why are you worried so much? You probably need it even more than the God himself. What are you so worried about? I am absolutely equal to this." It was Aurobindo who stated that it was all the same, would the light body be realized now or not. I was in a disturbance at the beginning. It was a long time ago, 20 years ago. I read a lot and thought that, how so? I am burning here, we must all do it already. Supramental transition should be. But he doesn't care. Do you know why he doesn't care? He is enlightened. For him, everything is the same. Inside him, in his deepest part, nothing changes. And the body just once will change the quality of its physical existence. However, do you know how Aurobindo finished his way? He died. And many practitioners say, well, how and how so? No, he probably didn't die. From the standpoint of the enlightened one, he certainly didn't die. He exists forever. He was always and always will be. He has in Savitri such lines about the spiritual essence that, and he met those eternally alive that were dead for us. That is, he met those who live in the eternal world. And our world is very strange and miserable for them. That is, we die like ants or insects. Just in 100 years, none of us will be here. In 100 years. Have you noticed how quickly the summer has passed? Now is the middle of it. Therefore, strive for enlightenment. In the Dhammapada, one of the main Buddhist texts, it said, "O people, the whole world is on fire of sickness and death. Why aren't you looking for salvation? Look for this salvation." Once again, concerning the mission of Sri Aurobindo, his revolutionary character, the thing is that if you look at those years when Sri Aurobindo proclaimed the supramental transformation, Tibet was in fact degraded. India was humbled. There were only three sanghas, three ways. First was Ramakrishna and Vivekananda way. Second was the Vaishnava tradition, which had a fairly big impact on Sri Aurobindo. That is, he went on the Vaishnava way, the way of love. And Sri Aurobindo himself. Here are three. There was also the Theosophical Society. And then another direction became very fashionable about Mahatmas that no one had seen. Actually, this is very interesting, as it looks like one movie. In fact, Mahatmas exist, but how those people are talking about them might imply that they had no met Mahatmas at all. You know, there is such a film, some directors have guessed. This is when the film is built on a suitcase, and there is something in the suitcase. Everybody wants the suitcase, stole it, and there are battles around the suitcase. And at the end of that movie, the main character opens the long-awaited suitcase and, well, what? But the camera is on wrong side and we can't see what is in the suitcase. He opens and closes it. And the movie ends. Therefore, each time when you are intrigued, I've got something, now I've got something, some secret method, I have a communication with such Mahaguru that you can't even imagine. First, put some money into the cashier, there is the cashier on the right, and you are intrigued all along. And for me, it looks like that suitcase. The problem is not that there is some secret mantra, special secret method. The problem is that even the best methods are very difficult to practice. It's very difficult to practice prayer, meditation, mantra yoga, hatha yoga, pranayama, static meditation. All the time you want to go somewhere in the shop. And one of my sadhu always said, well, I meditate sahaja, naturally. I'm going to the shop and at the same time meditate. I told him, no problem, let's do it this way. If you can sit in meditation, exteriorize your subtle body and let it go to the shop, then no problem if you did your meditation while going to the shop. And if you are sitting thinking, no, I must get up and go somewhere, then on return from the shop, sit and please meditate a little, because one needs both static and dynamic meditations. I have told already at the center that there is a method of nidhyadhyasana. For example, very simple concepts are given such as the world is an illusion, or the world is a dream, or everything is energy, contemplative things. And some people say, oh, this is easy for me. Then I said, then do a simple meditation, please. Count how many times you say the word I during a week, and each day write down the resulted number on a piece of paper. And you know, Mahasiddhas quickly turn to be very simple people. Those who are their advanced yogis, some of them say I 100 times per day. Or another practice. Please one day, or rather not a day, but a week, don't watch TV, listen to the radio and don't read anything, just to be yourself. My first teacher, a Buddhist spiritual teacher, forbade me to read any sacred texts and read at all. Because every time I went to him, my mind was like the library, and I easily could ask him 15 questions concerning what I read. He told me, Mikhail, when will your mind be calm? He just looked at me, and I continued asking him, what are you thinking about? He said, nothing. For me, it was a darshan. At that time, I was just a library alive. And later on, when I began to teach, I usually tell, if you are such great yogis, please try to be without music, without television, without all this during just 1 week. After this practice, people sharply change their opinions about themselves, greatly change their opinions. And do you know what they say? Yes, I thought, but at the end of the week my hand longed by itself and everything was switched on by themselves. And at the end of tune, I remembered that I shouldn't do this. And some say, you gave silly practices. I won't come on your classes anymore. I would rather walk down the street like this and think that I'm a great yogi. Why would I want your practice? Well, here there is a lay ashram. Spouses are welcome to practice together. In our Sangha, there are people who want to keep brahmacharya, that is, to be alone. Please also welcome. But just to move a bit away from animal nature, we say, let us hold at least a week in brahmacharya. Thus, we hold a week of brahmacharya. On a separate note, our sadhak, many boasted, oh, I can keep brahmacharya so long, longer than 1 week. Time passed, and one day he said, Guru, I will have another son. I said, what is the sense to show off your brahmacharya? I certainly congratulate you with a son, but better think of ourselves as children who need to be more educated by themselves. I don't have physical children, because I think that just need to educate myself before. I can already give him happiness, but I think that so much time is necessary for sadhana. If you want to have children, it's written in the sacred text that the most wishful birth takes place in the family of yogis. That is, your kids will be happy if they are born in a family of yogis. This is not prohibition that you shouldn't necessarily have children. Please, it's secular ashram. However, sometimes we follow such practices here. Well, a week we can hold brahmacharya. It's always favorably, and for some it's very hard to maintain such practice. Do you have other questions? May I ask another question, please? Could you please guide me what sign of the correctness in practice? Very often we see, well, we practice ourselves and it seems to us that we are doing the right things. We see other people and often we see that someone after 10 years of practice becomes just an idiot. Well, in general, it's said the yoga is a two-sided sword. It can give super-consciousness and supernormal capabilities. Or maybe wound the man who holds it clumsy. We return again to the fact that better to receive explanation of the practice from a qualified guru. It's a key to your success. It's a guarantee that the practice is well executed. Surely health and happiness should come. These are two signs of correct practice. When I experienced borderline states of consciousness and I didn't reach this realization of liberation totally, I controlled myself, whether I am a normal man or not. Because when I decided to go into the army or not, I could simply tell a psychologist how I see the world, and I would be retired from military service on medical grounds. How I saw the world was enough to receive incapable of functioning, and weapons can't be trusted to such person for sure. But I restrained myself and told the worldly point of view. But when I faced a real question, am I a normal being or not? Because I started to perceive time and space a little differently. I looked at the people. It wasn't me who asked the question. There was a silence in the mind, and the voice from the side stated, "You're crazy, no doubt, you're just crazy." Since I have not talked in my mind, there was no mental dialogue. I looked at the people and I realized that I know how they think. That is, I can see the world through their eyes. I can understand how they think, but they can't understand me. So I can contain both worlds, mine and their one, but they're able to hold only their one. If I could only see my own world and couldn't understand how people see the world, I would probably say that it's some serious deviation. Yoga always means expanding. This is not the way from one room to another. Yoga is the presence simultaneously in 2, 3, 4, or 5 rooms. It's often said that you can stay on some level of consciousness or on another level of consciousness. According to Yoga of Aurobindo, what is said, you may stay in the lower, in the middle, or in the higher regions. Who can answer in what regions it's better to stay? In all 3 regions. Krishna dwells simultaneously in all the regions locus. That is why he is not in a separate area or a single local state. Aurobindo says that it's possible to experience sudden changes in health. Sometimes the practitioner looks like an unhealthy person. He is sitting. Well, it's desirable that during meditation you have a smile of the Buddha. But without smile, you are sitting and intently meditate. This is the way Asuric beings meditate. The gods meditate with a smile inside. With every moment, every day becomes more and more beautiful. It's clear that he would say, "Oh, come on, play some ball." He says, "No, I would rather sit here." You have probably gotten sick. It's highly possible. Many years ago, I said to some friends of mine, "Sorry, I have lost my mind. I came down from the path of the mind, so I apologize in advance. Our communication can be difficult. Why you didn't call us?" or so on. I say, "Well, I didn't feel like I want. But if you wish, you're welcome to my home." Half of my friends came, half didn't. Nothing changed inside of me because someone came or didn't. So first of all, this is skilled guru, but as a rule, that is, if you practice and you are getting worse and worse, consult a qualified guru. We have only 5 minutes left, so if you want to ask a question, welcome, be brave. You named among the characteristics of the realization health and happiness. Sri Ramana Maharshi had died of cancer. Sai Baba has an old broken body. Why is this happening? Well, they don't, probably not at all. I would be very careful to answer this question. I would say they didn't very well revere Shakti. Well, as far as Aurobindo is concerned, he had the old body as well. That is, you should understand that the main thing is your goal, where you are going to go, and to go there bravely. That is the same to the first 20 madmen who wanted to fly a plane, knowing that it's possible, who failed. Only the 21st one turned off. However, this 21st wouldn't exist if there were not 20 ahead. Therefore, each guru gives his darshan, his gift to himself in other people. I am repeating that there was a generation of gurus who kept this thread of mukti, achievements of liberation, until it was time to tell about the path of Shakti, tell about ability to achieve liberation in the bodies. A lot of gurus, and thanks them for this and great honor. The only thing I would like to point out that this is quite a controversial issue, whether Satya Sai Baba is a Purna avatar or not. I'm afraid that part of the whole just takes some notes and will start throwing them in my direction, because Purna avatar means a complete embodiment of the Lord, right up to physical. The fact that he had altered consciousness is unambiguous. But be careful to name anybody Purna avatar, as in India there is a very peculiar system according to which in every village should be Purna avatar. Otherwise, the village is not considered as serious. And at present, the Indians have about 3 Purna avatars. Kalki avatar, who has very bravely refused that he is Kalki. Kalki means the last avatar. In the scriptures, it's written that Kalki avatar will be the last one. The second, his name is Maitreya. Also, Sri Ganapati is considered to be the embodiment of Dattatreya, the Adi Guru. And Satya Sai Baba is perceived as a Purna avatar. It's very difficult for me to accept all this. In fact, I have no doubt that each of them indeed has altered consciousness. But existed titles probably downplay the God. Do you understand my point? Why must we believe that Purna avatar is getting older? We're not talking about aging, we're talking about real people. For example, Sri Ramana Maharshi died of cancer. This is the greatest teacher. Yes, no doubt. Explicitly enlightened, explicitly enlightened. Why is this happening? So, you don't understand mukti as long as mukti is associated with siddhi. Mukta is not obliged to fly or to teleport. I'll upset you, but you miss the mark if you connect mukti and siddhi. Mukti is the one who freed his mind. And siddha is someone who, having freed mind, has supernatural capabilities in addition. If you have two of them tied, then you will not be able to free your mind. You will always be stretched. Sri Ramana Maharshi was an enlightened man, and this is his great darshan. In my house, he is on murti and looks at me through his beautiful eyes. And I am trying to perceive his darshan as well, and as if attuned to him during a very long time. However, he didn't talk about the path, entire way of Siddhanta. He just talked about self-realization. And if you during one life at least do this, then it will be one of your greatest realizations. In Zen stories, it's said, you have been meditating for a long time and wept alone in the woods. And now you get back to the stream. You have changed. You are now laughing. You are enlightened. There is no more grief. Once this is achieved, it becomes very, very well. This darshan was given by Sri Ramana Maharshi. He developed India from this decline. Once again, that now there are a lot of gurus. In those days, literally 3 to 5 people were enlightened, and one of them was Sri Ramana Maharshi. And the fact that he hasn't managed his body well, it's okay. Here the difference between ways of Aurobindo and Sri Ramana Maharshi. They are both enlightened, but Sri Ramana Maharshi decided to follow the path of laya, dissolution, while Sri Aurobindo decided to follow the path of lila, the play. That is concerned to be more complicated. When you reach a state of liberation, one of the top of your manifestations, which also is you, well, relatively speaking, Krishna. There are numerous names of Bhagavan Krishna. Shiva, in this case, is not important. I've heard this from Krishna. He says, do you want to play one more game? And you say, no, I'm so much sitting here and meditating. This is enough for me. And he responds, oh, please. And you are sitting and reading clever lectures, or not reading because you don't care whether you are reading or not. If you want to go further on the path, then again you're almost starting from the very outset. Yes, you are enlightened, but it's a difficult path of struggle. The only plus here is that you are not attached to it, to this path. You are very calm whether you achieve realization or not, whether you have the light body or not. Here is my answer. Friends, our meeting now has come to its very end. Once again, thank you. Come to our classes. Thank you.